Hey, this is Jim the Keys bartender coming to you from Key Largo. I'm here with Steve from Key Largo Comics. Say hi, Steve.
Hey, how you doing?
Great, great, great. You hear me all right?
I can hear you.
Great. Uh, the last episode, Steve, I'm, are you from, were you probably, I'm sure, if I'd be surprised if you say yes to this question.
Okay.
But have you ever heard of a town named Leiden in, not Leighton here, Leiden in the Netherlands?
I have not.
Or later. Leider. Well, there's this other town called Leiderdorp,
Okay.
Netherlands, and I had about 27 episodes. I'm from a couple different towns in the Netherlands, and
Uh,
normally it's I put it down to like a couple people downloading a bunch. It's either you're going to listen to all you accidentally sometimes someone accidentally that's not familiar with podcasting, they'll accidentally
right.
download every episode,
Okay.
and there's a spike in an area, and you go, wow, there's 300 downloads, 320 downloads because there's 300 episodes. I mean, we're
It's
actually
like
on
one person.
episode. Well, yeah, but this one is from different areas, and it was like 26 episodes,
Uh-huh.
right? So, and it was more than one place, and I'm thinking, oh shit, there's a couple different people because no one downloads 12 episodes, right?
Right.
So in Leiderdorp, I just say, you know what, I'm going all out. So, yes, no, on Wednesday I was doing a show with I forget I was doing a show with Papa Joe. And I sent a shout out to them. I just did a little backdrop. What's the name of the lady that the mayor, Layla Drayson Jansen, the mayor of Leiderdorp, and I
Okay.
actually on Facebook they allowed me, even though I think it's their Chamber of Commerce because I didn't even translate it, even though they have a free translation service on Facebook. I joined their chamber group on Chamber of Commerce group on
Yeah.
Facebook, and I think it is because there's a picture of the mayor with three or four different business types, and I looked for it's a town of 27,000 in West Holland. It's called the province is uh, southern South Holland, but it's
Wow.
actually in Western Holland. And I sent out some. I what I did is I put a title in the group. I put "We love you, Leiderdorp," and I posted it. I posted it to them. I posted it to whatever Facebook groups there were out there. There's a mall. There's a
Uh-huh.
mall in Leiderdorp, and I sent it to the mall. And I sent it to the Chamber of Commerce, and I sent it to their ambulance company because there was
Wow.
only an
You're
ambulance
very
company.
popular.
Well, no, I didn't say I'm very popular. I was trying to become very popular. I believe
Hmm.
that I can nail one demographic, and that demographic, and if I put it in a narrow description, and that description would be that currently in South Holland,
Yeah.
we are the number one
Right.
podcast based in the Florida Keys.
I think that, yeah.
And
I think
and
that's
there's a
it.
possibility we're in the top 5 of English speaking podcast in that area. If we, so if I keep on doing it, if I keep on, I'm pushing right for there just because I mentioned it. I mentioned they call it. I mentioned that we should become a twin city with Key Largo should be a twin city with Leiderdorp, even though uh, of, I have no authority to do it.
Right.
But since Key Largo doesn't have a mayor, I said, I'm kind of pseudo the mayor of Key Largo, which is a lie.
Yeah.
I realize that's a lie, but I just said it, and because I said it, there is a slight impugning of truth to it. I used impugning because impugning is negative, but since I said it, and everyone, every so often there's like a business person or something in Key Largo, or someone is well known, they say, well, that person's the mayor of whatever town there is and stuff like that. And I just said I was the mayor of Key Largo. And I'm still probably going to, I'm still going to say that to the people in the Netherlands. And the horrible thing about that, if I said that to like a town in China or Japan or Nepal, and I said if I was able to pronounce the name of their town correctly, they wouldn't know that I'm bullshitting, really. They would just, I could say things and they couldn't tell. But I don't know if you know many Dutch people, but Dutch people, and it's really embarrassing, speak English better than most native speakers.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, and you don't even, and many times, if they're under 30, you don't even hear an accent.
Right.
That's, that insult, and their vocabulary is much larger. But I'm not letting that stop me. I realize that. So we just did that. I did that obligatory 6 minutes talking about Leiderdorp, and I think you guys in Leiderdorp should hope to be something better. You shouldn't be. There's a town near them. It's about 130,000 people. It's Leider. It's called Leider, and Leiderdorp means later village. Village. Dorp, D-O-R-P, means village in Dutch, right?
Okay.
So what they're calling themselves is the bigger city. It's like calling themselves New York City Village.
Right.
If you were right outside New York City. But they can stand on their own. I'm going to try to, I'll do this maybe just for 1 or 2 more shows. If nobody else listens to the show on Leiderdorp, I'll just, like anything else, I'll just lay off it, right? But I think if we focus on it, I think if I can get someone from the local coffee shop or wooden shoe manufacturing factory,
Oh yeah.
Wooden shoes. What else do you know about Holland?
Clogs, right? Wooden shoes, clogs.
Yep. They're good with cheese. Edam. I think Edam is their cheese. E-D-A-M. What?
Windmill?
Windmills is correct. Windmills. Windmills were used in the Spanish novel by, was it Cervantes? Don Quixote. He was always tilting at windmills, and people think, why are they using windmills? Why are they using windmills in a story about that takes place in Spain? Because aren't windmills supposedly from Holland? Well, there's a lot of give and take right there. Windmills actually in both places. You know what? I guess I may get someone who's. I should find out where windmills actually come from, because Spain, for 80 years, Spain was occupying Holland back in the 1500s. Yeah. So I know it sounds kind of boring and stuff like that, but that's what I do when I don't have a lot of free time. When I have a lot of free time.
Didn't Don Quixote think the windmills were dragons?
Yes, he did.
Right.
He did think it was dragon. Okay, I'm gonna give a Netflix pick shout to a show that isn't. I don't think it's one of their hits, but I think it's fucking hilarious. And you can tell me. And while I'm down this, you can think about something you'd like to talk about. We did mention Ozarks. We mentioned Sheets Creek, I think, and there's other ones that are not necessarily Netflix. It could be Amazon. It could be Hulu.
Right.
So think about it. Mine this week, and I came across it because it was a weird picture. It's called Derry Girls. Derry, Derry Girls.
Okay.
And it takes place in the early 1990s in Londonderry, Northern Ireland. And Londonderry is what the Protestants call the town, the Irish Protestants, and Derry is the name the Irish Catholics call the town.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And it's set right at the time when the peace process is heating up in Northern Ireland. There were still bombings going on. The Provos, the provisional the IRA's in there and stuff. But it's these four Catholic girls and one boy, and they're going to a girls' Catholic school. The boy, the premise is hilarious. I think the show is hilarious. The main character is named Claire. She's kind of a cute girl. None of the girls are real knockouts or anything like that. But one girl's kind of hoary, and the other one's kind of short and she's squat, let's say, wide. And another girl is kind of real wacky. And there's a guy in there that ends up going to the girls' school, and he's not trying to be a girl. It's just that they had him there because of something going on in the area or something like that. And there's a freaking nun in it, and the families are hilarious. And all this, it's a comedy. It's a comedy going on, and all during it, they're all serious. The news in the background when they listen to news, it's about the peace process. So the stories may not be with the girls, what the girls are doing and shit like that may not be true, but they're using real stories in the background. How the guy that's Jerry Adams, who was the spokesperson for the IRA, or Sinn Féin, which was the political party that the IRA supported, and then they had this guy Hume, who was a Northern Irish politician, and there was this other guy, I forgot his name. He was a Protestant leader of the Ulster thing. Ian Paisley. He was the opposite of the thing, but it's fucking hilarious if you got the chance to see it. Okay,
I'll check it out.
Check it out. There's only 2 seasons right now, but imagine, because you know what? Because of what happened, everyone gets a shot. You know, these small shows, because people are they're going through all their watch list right now.
Sure. Oh yeah, for sure.
They're just blowing through it. What do you got?
I mean, I'm watching a bunch of them right now.
Let's say something that a lot of people. What?
Are you asking me what I'm watching, or what one of my favorites? Something
that isn't well known, that isn't a big hit.
Oh man, I mean, I guess
because Peaky Blinders is up there. Ozarks.
I was about to say Peaky Blinders. Yeah, Peaky Blinders is one of my favorites. I mean, right now I'm watching Stranger Things. So I never really watched that one.
That was good.
Yeah, I'm almost done with the first season on that. So, and I also started The Last Kingdom. I don't know if you've been watching that.
No, I did not.
Yeah, that's been pretty good, but I'm really just mainly on Stranger Things right now. So.
Well, I think everyone knows Stranger Things, and I was. I saw a movie. That was really good too. It's called Good Boys. Good Boys. It's 3 12-year-olds, and what is it? There's 3 12-year-olds, and I think one of the boys has to get to this party that's a kissing party, KISSING, and they got to complete these tasks before they go there. And I'm not going to give the whole thing away, but at one point, they're over one of the boys' houses, and he needed to get a whole bunch of weapons, and they're not familiar with the weapons. And what happens is, guy took a thing. He thought it was a necklace, but he says, "Oh, this necklace would make a great nunchuck. It's like a nunchuck." It was actually anal beads, and this other guy found
Man.
and the other boy had a leather mask and a whip, and the one boy had a vibrator. And
Man.
Yeah, they're going to. Well, they're not sure about it, and they think it's one of their parents has a CPR doll, a really ornate CPR doll, but it's one of those Japanese real dolls. You know what they are?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's Japanese real doll, and it's one scene they incorporate all of them, but the whole thing, the whole show, is incredible. The way they do it, they get one line. The line of the show, the best line of the show is they go, "Hey, what's this?" And the guy says, "That's a tampon." And one guy, "Do you know what they do with it?" "Yeah, girls shove it up their butts so they don't get pregnant."
Close.
Yeah, and he says it, and it's just a great. It's just the whole reaction. It's a sleeper movie. I'm telling you, it's a sleeper movie.
All right, I'll check it out.
Oh yeah,
I got my
good boy.
Telling here, I got my gym recommendation list right here.
Yeah, if you want to eat a laugh, there's two. That's an hour and 50 minutes, and you'll, there's a couple sappy moments in the show, but it's pretty good. So
yeah.
Okay, we're gonna move on unless you have anything you want to add to your entertainment list. You got The Last Kingdom.
Yeah. Last Kingdom, Stranger Things. That's what I'm on right now.
I was always hoping like I'd be able to get a hold of the. I want to watch the whole Civil War documentary over again.
Right.
But they're selling it. You got to buy it. It's like $100.
So one thing I am excited about is the most recent Star Wars movie will be dropping on Disney Plus Monday night. And I never saw it in the theaters, so I'm looking forward to that. Is it Rise of Skywalker or?
I didn't see the second one. I didn't see the second one yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yep. That would actually be the eighth one, right?
Yeah. So number 9 is dropping on Disney Plus Monday night.
I didn't see the eighth one. I didn't see the eighth one. It's not the final part of it, is it?
Yeah, it is. That's the final movie in the Skywalker saga. So
Okay. Well,
we're
going to have to. Okay, so I think it's obligatory that we talk about the keys a little. While I, one of our frequent rides that we do in the neighborhood, I bought I'd tell you the story about the Swindler. The Swindler. That's the Schwinn bike I bought. It's called the Swindler. I bought it from that secondhand place at U-Haul.
Yeah.
And it's just a cruising bike, and I've already broke both pedals. I replaced one, and now yesterday I had to replace the other. And I'm looking at it, and it's not. I guess because I'm the size I am. I mean, it's going to sound like I'm brutally strong, but it's just a cruising bike. But when you're going into the wind and stuff like that, you just put a lot of pressure on it and stuff like that. It's got the small arms on it and stuff like that. I'm just tearing this bike up, and I just realized, I'm just going to get a bike's a bike, right? If it fits you. Well, Jesus Christ, I'm a spin instructor, and I'm looking at it, and this sucker, I'm breaking all the pedals, and I'm looking at it and said, this is poorly constructed. I mean, they still don't make these bikes. I don't think they make the Swindler, and it's made for like Jesus Christ. I guess it's one of these $200 bikes. What are you doing? Hey, there's adult language going on in here. Okay, the dog's coming in. They're gonna. Okay. No, I wasn't talking to you, Steve.
Okay.
But there's someone here interrupting the show here. Thank you. Hi. That's a daughter in here and a friend. So
Wow.
we're riding around in the neighborhood and stuff like that, and I just get, not in the neighborhood, go up to the Caribbean Club. We're watching that, wife and and I go and see one of the owners, and they say, "Hey, Jim, I guess you're opening up on Monday." And I go,
Right.
"Oh, I guess I'm not. I guess I'm not being told." So I found out. I go and call up the owner, and I mentioned something. I said, "Hey, is what are the plans for opening and all this stuff?" People down here, I've heard people say, "I heard you're closing. I heard you're not going to open up. I heard all sorts of things." I said, wouldn't you think I would know before you know?
You would think.
Yeah, it's like someone called me and told me, "Hey, I heard Abby's pregnant." I'm like, wait a second. I think I would know before you would know. People don't.
Right.
Yeah, when they broach something, they go like this and say, "Hey, Jim, you're a crucial employee to that operation. Are you? I heard that this may happen. What do you know?" No, but they tell me like they know. I mean, they tell me. I say, "Well, I heard you're closing," and they go like this, and I have to go and spell. So actually, I posted. I had to post on the on Facebook that because did you study how the phases are working? Phase 1, 2, and 3 work for the state.
Right.
Do you know about them?
You mean like trying to get back to the business or whatever?
Yeah. For restaurants in phase 1,
Yeah.
restaurants in phase 1,
Yeah.
it's 25% of capacity.
Capacity.
Okay.
Right.
Now, for the listeners out there that understand anything about business, okay, you're telling somebody that you can never go over 25% of your capacity. And that means that, let's say, there's a whole bunch of times you don't get up to 25%. Let's say there's when you're open, lunchtime, very end of the night. Sometimes during the week, sometimes during the slow period, you don't ever do it. But once you got that 25%, which is, I'm not arguing that's whether it's a right thing or a wrong thing. It's probably the smart thing. It just means now on Friday and Saturday nights when you usually get near your 100%, and you know what? Most restaurants rarely ever get the 100% because that's the capacity you get for safety. How many people you put in there in case something horrible happens? So you take away all the spikes. So now the highest you could ever average the whole week if you were open is 25%.
Right.
And you never have the 75, 80, or 90% where you get your profit from. And it's very narrow margins in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
Very narrow margins. Try to do that at a supermarket. You got a big supermarket, cut them down to 25%. See how those shelves look and how many people are in there. It wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So,
is it even worth it? Is it even worth like getting food and all that?
Well, I mean, the way I would view it is if you're a place that does a ton of takeout, you own your own property. Right? Your family works there, and you can have a very streamlined staff, a small menu, and thing like that. If you can open a small place and get to where, let's say, you have 12 employees, right? You only need 4 people to operate. Yeah, you could probably do that if more than 50% of your business is takeout.
Right.
Like a Chinese restaurant can open it. The Chinese restaurant at Tradewinds Plaza, I've never seen them at 25% capacity. They do not have to change your business model or anything they do there. If they get to if they get to 25%, they're perfectly happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, a place it's harder for the busier places to open. So if you're used to 50 to 70%, that's when you have a problem. Because most of the time, they have a big overhead, they got lots of people, and that's it. So
food cost. Yeah.
So phase 2 is when they get to 50%.
Right.
I think it's 50 or 75%. But once you get to 50%, now you're talking. Now you still have the problem of getting up. Let's say we're 175, 150 at our restaurant. I mean, 75 people. That's a decent night. 75, that's 150. But there's places. I used to work at a place that they needed 120 people to make a profit, and their capacity was 175. Now that capacity means at one time,
right?
Not capacity during the whole night. But a lot of times on a busy night, you're going to have 75, 80 people in there the whole time. That's a little past. Well, 80 is past 50%. And if it's really busy, you have over 100 in there.
Right.
Luckily, capacity, most people, and when I say 80, 90, that's kind of ridiculous. So I'm trying to explain to people, when you limit them to the 25%, it's the 25% takes your peak out, takes your Friday and Saturday night. The 50% is, you can pretty operate like you are normally, except for spacing where your tables are and where people are. So, and they look and you look at them, you say, oh, you don't want to open and stuff like that. But they're not under, like if you're imagine if you were a fisherman and you run a 6-pack license, let's say, or a party boat, and you got like 40 people on your boat, and say you can't get any more than 10 people on. Well, how are you going to do? How are you going to do that? Or a plane. Or do a plane and say, listen, you got 250 seats. You're only going to be able to put 63 people on the plane.
Right.
So, and then you put it in these stark terms and people say, oh, I get it. Oh, it's math. You got to make a profit. They think they're eating, and they got to think about if 25% and you can't have anybody sitting at on phase 1, there's nobody sitting at a counter. There's nobody sitting at counters.
Right. There's no counter?
No
in
counter.
Phase 1?
In phase 1, no. So, what are you going to do? So that's the reason if you don't see them, you need to give an exacting description, and people don't understand that takeout only does a certain amount. Like we were there for the last days of takeout. I was there for last days of takeout. Your takeout, I mean, if you do, 15%, you're doing great. 15% of your total, you're doing great. But I think that last day when we were closing, they were thinking about doing takeout. We did 10%.
Right.
10%. You'd have to do 50, 60% to even consider. So
is the catch good?
What?
Is the catch good to skip phase 1?
Well, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is they're not opening up on Monday.
Right.
Okay. Now they can. I think tomorrow and today. Was it today that people could start doing it, or Monday people can start doing it?
Yeah, I think it's Monday. I think.
On Monday. Okay. So that'll be on the 4th. May 4th. So we'll see how everything went. And you know what? We're going to have a lovely example of the state of Georgia. Well, and Monroe County supposedly is not going to be opening up till the end of May. And there's a reason for
the reason why
Monroe County isn't. and we described this on the last show, is Monroe County has three rural hospitals, small hospitals, under 120 beds, and 9 total ventilators in the whole Keys. 9.
Wow.
So we get an influx of people that need ventilators. We're screwed. We're sending people up to Miami, and Miami's seeing it. Even Miami's right now seeing a bit of a spike there.
Right.
But it's a real shame that this is all happening right now, because we're seeing some of the finest weather we have all year. Except for the wind. And that being said, where do people get off thinking what is essential? We've seen the protests happen, right? The protests happen in different states, and the people, the legitimate argument for the protesters, right, is you need money, right?
Yeah.
That's a legitimate concern. I need money to raise my family, right?
Right. Yeah.
And feed my family, pay my rent, pay for my health care, and things like that. But when people put out the signs, you see the signs, I need a haircut, I want to get a tattoo, that's purely selfish, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I understand people need to make money. The food processing centers we're losing a lot of them right now. The meat processing centers in the Midwest, due to, and it appears to be because they did not provide proper PPE, personal protective equipment.
Right.
They started out with the no gloves, no mask. Then they started issuing masks, and then they started issuing gloves, and if people say the media is blown out of proportion, how can they be blown out of proportion if you have a place where there's 700 people working and 300 become infected? Who's blowing what out of proportion? It happened. I'm pointing finger. It happened. Now we're gonna have. If you've been in a store recently, they have a restriction over the amount of chicken you can buy. Have you seen that? Yeah. And that same thing goes, and all the prices going up, the ground meat and this. What I don't understand is them dumping milk.
Milk?
Yep.
I haven't heard that.
Well, milk was out. Milk, you could do milk with cheese, and you could turn milk into cheese. Cheese is very stable in the long term. That's what they did. You never hear the thing about when they give away government cheese? You ever heard of government cheese? Government cheese is like a big block of cheese, right?
Sounds familiar.
Okay. Well, it's part of the program where you'd have a certain amount of dairy producers making milk, but in case something were to happen, let's say there was a disease that affected dairy cows, or there was a spike in price and stuff like that, what they do is the government would buy up extra product to support the dairy farmers, so you had enough producers out there in case something were to happen. Let's say the dairy cattle, there was something that wiped out 50% of the dairy cattle. Right? There's some modern nutritionists suggest that actually we do too much dairy in the United States. You ever hear that one?
Say that again?
That we do entirely too much dairy in the United States.
We do too much dairy.
Do you believe that or not?
I don't. Yeah, I would say.
I didn't make this statement. I'm just saying someone said that it's been with the food pyramids and things like that. The dairy is featured too high
Yeah.
and a portion in there of what. And I had a nutritionist that I used to go to, and the guy says, "Listen, when you eat cheese, get cheese that's white." And I go, "Why?" And he goes, "Well, you ever have any orange milk? So it's food coloring in it. Just get it. There's no process that makes it yellow. It's not like chicken eggs. We have chicken eggs, the white eggs and the brown eggs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, which I want to investigate that too. What's the deal with the eggs? So, essential businesses, originally essential workers. Here, these. I realize they're not infecting people and stuff like that, so I don't really care. Car dealerships being open because they have maintenance components to them, right?
Right.
And people sometimes they need to buy vehicles too. Same thing, with boats. Some of these, especially down here where you have working people that work in the maritime, fishing business.
Right.
They need parts too. So it doesn't matter whether I have a problem or not with them. Essential business. Now, other ones we did discuss last week about the construction. But it's not, you can't have, I'm starting to come around to the idea that maybe we shouldn't have shut everything down. But the only problem with keeping things running, if we're going to ask people to stay home, you're essentially cutting off the feed valve to the businesses. So if everyone's supposed to stay home, you turn to personal protection. So the retail stores, what if they left? If we had everyone stay at home but left malls open, right? There'd still be people going to malls, right? But let's say there'd be 30% of them, right?
Yeah.
The malls would have to stay open. They have to get their floors in. And then you have the people, you'd have to have the security staff, support staff, their janitorial staff, the food courts, and all that stuff open. And open for 30%. In the long run, it costs businesses, and we were just talking about with restaurants, if there's no market for what they're offering, it costs them more to be open. Of course. So that's where people probably look at it. Economists look at it and say, listen, we're going to have to practice social distancing. We should keep as many people home as possible. And that's what you do. That being said, on top of it, you mentioned that you have Zoom on your work computer, right?
Yes, I do.
When you have to go to your workplace, what are you wearing when you go to your workplace? When you physically have to show up there?
Oh, casual, business casual. So, like a short sleeve button down and just, khakis or something.
Okay.
Or, maybe even jeans.
So your Zoom meetings, what are you wearing in your Zoom meetings?
Like boxers and a tank top.
Boxers? Yeah, really? Boxers? Well, recently it's not people. They made a big deal of a reporter on a correspondent showing up at Good Morning America. He's wearing a jacket, shirt, and tie, but he's wearing shorts, and it looks like gym shorts. Right. And why even do it if you're not aware how far the camera's going and how wide the picture is?
Right.
What's the point? People been dressing that's work. And think about it. How many people, think in a business environment, you'd have to, the support staff, let's say IT support at a lot of companies, they're told, some people say, hey, listen, you got to tell these, you have to have a modicum of hygiene, and you got to think about what you're wearing.
right.
when you're going to work. Um, but when these meetings started, because obviously some of the first people you didn't have to do anything for, you don't have to like support IT staff. They don't even have to go anywhere. So they're already ready not to put on their clothes. They're ready. They're ready just to sit there. I could see there were meetings. So listen, when we have a Zoom meeting, you're going to have to put a shirt on.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
We're going to have to see. And people say, well, I could just put a portrait of myself on there. In Zoom meeting, you could just turn off your video feed.
I can. Yeah, you can just black it out.
You can turn in there. But imagine people saying you're going to, hey, listen, make an effort to comb your hair, wash your face, and things like that.
Yeah.
We were already going to have problems with it. It was foreseeable because think about it. How many times not so much nowadays, women in curlers, but it used to be curlers. You see them go out in curlers. And you see people going out in their pajamas in the middle of the day, out in the pajamas. I was a phenomenon I saw in Philadelphia, seeing people like this. And then it was a fashion statement, going out in pajamas. When it's a fashion statement, it's no big deal. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's part of it. But people going out in pajamas with their pajamas, or out in their robe in their pajamas. You see that every so often in a TV show. If someone wanted a real cheap laugh, a lady has her facial treatment on her face, running outside, going to a store with all that stuff on, you know?
Right.
But doing it at home and doing it in the on the meetings, you have online meetings. How many people aren't wearing anything under the top covering?
Yeah, I have mine set so that it really only catches me from like my Adam's apple up. So
there's people. I'm sure there's people that are going to meetings not wearing anything, and it's their big. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's people. Eventually, there's going to be ones. They're going to be caught.
Right.
They're going to be telling people how to dress, or how to do people, and then you're going to have a Zoom meeting, and they're going to say, hey, listen. Your roommate or your significant other is walking from the shower. Let's say you're in the bedroom,
right,
and you're walking from the bathroom completely naked behind.
Did you see along those lines? Did you watch any of the NFL draft last week?
No. Why? Did someone walk?
So they were basically Skyping or Zooming into the coaches' homes, where they were making the picks. Okay.
Yeah.
So they Skyped into the home of the Tennessee Titans coach, and he's making, he's sitting on his sofa and they're talking about the potential players, and but they come up to the pick, but in the background, I guess there's a mirror behind him.
Yeah.
And you can see that across from him in the other room, there's like his brother's taking a shit on the toilet. And you can see it in the mirror, and of course, nobody really caught it at first. But he's sitting there with his pants down, taking a dump, and he goes on for like 10 minutes. He's sitting there taking. It's crazy.
Really?
Oh yeah, just Google it. It's on the internet.
You got to watch the mirrors. You got to watch the reflection. That's how I used to do it when. And if
mirrors are key, man. Check out the mirrors.
I learned that as a kid in Philadelphia. Whenever I was playing hide and go seek, or one of those things where you're hiding, and you're always looking off shiny cars' bumpers, and their body and their mirrors. You just watch that stuff, and you can always catch the guy. And the people that start figuring that stuff out always won. But they should, in this day of Zoom, you got to watch out who's in the background, and you could say those screenshots. Some people can record. You can actually record all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of stuff out there on YouTube. I'm going to say this man Skype thing. This woman's doing this. Something's happening in the background. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy, and it's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
We're going to be there for it. We'll see it, and we predicted it. Well, predicted. Who couldn't have predicted that? So, we're gonna. We're right at the end of this right here, and I'm gonna thank you. I communicated. I used Skype to send you a message last week, and I used regular text on my phone to text you this week, and we got the things crossed up there. So
yeah, use your regular text, because I tried to reply to that Skype text and it bounced back undeliverable. So I don't know if that works for me.
Oh, it's not. It only works when it's on, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you tried to respond to my number was 394 and 3991, but it actually it's a Skype. I tried to
respond to that and it didn't work.
It's actually a Skype one that has it'll be a code, but I won't use that anymore. Okay. We're gonna try to get Leiderdorp. Hopefully, once they figure out we're talking about Leiderdorp, I'm gonna do it all next week. All next week we're talking Leiderdorp. I can add. You didn't know this, but let me highlight this here. I can add a phone call to. I can add a person to this phone call.
Okay.
Yep. So we're going to be able to have. Yeah, I can get. Right now it would be 7:15 at night, but we're not doing it live right now. But maybe we could do it live sometime if we're doing it.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Yeah, we can get someone on there, and I don't think they all smoke weed over there, but it'd be great. Maybe one of the places. Maybe we can get some of the places, one of their bars, and talk to them there. Or I could just call Colorado, man. That's all. That way, they're opening up soon.
They're all stoners.
Yeah, I'm not. Wait a second. I would be now if I didn't have a drinking problem. But I want to thank you, Steve, and we'll be back next week. I will.
Okay.
I'll find out that text, and then I'll just make it one. I'm going to keep you on. I'm not going to sign off right now. I'm going to say goodbye. Okay, we're going to say bye to Leiderdorp. If you want to try some wines from Bellissima Wines, one of our affiliate sponsors, you go to www.keysbartender.com. You look for sponsors, and there'll be a link right there if you go into sponsors. Also, you can go to, if you like CBG products, were you here for CBG? Did I do any commercials for the CBG products?
Yeah.
Dekind, DAKIND, 2 words. You can go to www.dekind.com, and it's CBG products. It's use it for what ails you. Check it out, www.dekind.com. It'll be in the show notes today, and I'd like to thank Steve, and then we'll sign off. Can you hear this music at all when I put it on?
Not really.
Okay, well, I'm going to put it on right now. Talk to you later, Steve. Say hi to
All
Lindsay
right,
for me.
bye-bye.
Bye.